What is it this time?
Oppa, can you just propose already? We already have 3 venue options scouted. Hurry up, man!
Turns out, we'll see how it goes and meet my parents this weekend are 2 very different sentences, and my mother apparently only understood the second one. It had been 2 years, 2 full years since the amusement park, since the Ferris wheel confession that never quite finished, since the rooftop conversation where we both admitted the acting had stopped being fake somewhere around Susie's 6th ambush. 2 years of Tuesday study dates that turned into weekday dinners after graduation, of Rita somehow becoming a permanent fixture at family gatherings, of my sister slowly, grudgingly, then enthusiastically adopting her as their own personal property. We'd both walked at graduation that spring, me in engineering, Rita in business, and I'd assumed, foolishly, that surviving together meant the hard part was behind us. Which is exactly why what happened next made no sense to me. "Your mother called," Rika announced, phone in hand, the second I walked through the door. "She wants to meet Rita. Sunday lunch. She already told Grandma." I blinked at her. "You are joking." "Nope. She wants to meet her officially," Mira clarified, not looking up from her laptop. She'd started her first job 2 months ago and had adopted the specific exhaustion of someone newly employed. Uma says, and I quote, 2 years and a diploma is long enough for hiding a woman from her mother-in-law." She's not her mother-in-law. "Yet," Susie said, in the tone of someone reading tea leaves. She was a senior in high school now, taller than she'd been at the amusement park, but no less committed to her role as household love guru. I sat down slowly on the arm of the couch. We've been together 2 full years? We both have actual jobs now. Why does this feel scarier than it did back when it was fake? "Because during the fake part, you didn't care if you messed it up," Susie said. "Now you actually care. That's the difference. That's why your hands are doing the thing." I looked down. My hands were, in fact, doing the thing. "Also," Rika added, scrolling through something on her phone with alarming focus, "Uma has already picked a hanbok color scheme. She sent it to the family group chat 40 minutes ago. It's titled, 'Just in Case.' There is no wedding happening." "There will be a wedding happening," Mira said, not looking up. "The only question is whether you find out about it from Uma's Pinterest board or from actually proposing like a functioning adult." I called Rita that night, pacing my apartment, my own apartment now, a real one, with a real lease and everything, like the floor owed me money. "My mom wants an official Sunday lunch." "Okay," Rita said, entirely too calm for someone about to formally meet the woman who raised the 3 chaos agents I still hadn't fully recovered from. "Junho," Rita's voice had that particular patience she reserved specifically for me. "I have survived a Ferris wheel ambush. I have survived Rika's detective beard phase. I have survived 4 years of your sisters showing up uninvited to literally every milestone of our relationship, including, memorably, our first post-graduation dinner, at which, if I recall correctly, Susie brought a printed slideshow. I think I can survive lunch." She's going to ask when we're getting married. There was a pause I did not like. "Are you saying that like it's a bad question?" I did not have a prepared response for that. Rita, clearly delighted by my silence, let me sit in it for a solid 10 seconds before laughing and hanging up on me. I did not sleep well that night. In my defense, neither did the small velvet box I'd been keeping in my sock drawer for the past 2 months, silently judging me every time I got dressed for my new job. Sunday arrived with the specific dread of a court date. My mother had cooked enough food for a small wedding reception, which felt like foreshadowing I did not appreciate one bit. My sisters were suspiciously well-behaved, seated in a neat row at the table like they'd rehearsed it, which I would later learn they had, extensively, complete with assigned roles. "What are your assigned roles exactly?" I asked, eyeing the 3 of them with growing suspicion as I helped set the table. "I'm moral support," Susie said. "I'm comic relief," Rika said. "I'm surveillance," Mira said, and did not elaborate, and I decided I did not actually want her to. "Rita, sweetheart," my mother said, taking both her hands like they were old friends reunited after decades apart, despite seeing her 4 days prior. 2 years. 2 years both of you graduated and working now, and my son has still not made anything official. I want you to know this is not a reflection of how our family feels about you. Uma, I'm literally sitting right here. I am aware, my mother said, without looking at me, which felt unnecessarily cruel. Rita, as always, handled it like she'd trained for this her entire life. She complimented the japchae before even tasting it, a power move I will never master. Asked my mother for the galbi marinade recipe with the specific enthusiasm of someone actually intending to use it in her own kitchen now that she had one, and within 15 minutes had reduced my mother to the kind of laughter that requires setting down chopsticks. I sat there, mildly stunned, the way I always was, watching my girlfriend disarm my entire family without breaking a sweat. "She's better at this than you are," Susie whispered. "She's better at everything than I am," I whispered back. It's kind of the whole premise of our relationship at this point. At some point during the second course, Rika excused herself to use the bathroom and returned 4 minutes later looking suspiciously pleased with herself. I would later discover, via a photo that surfaced in the family group chat approximately 3 hours after lunch ended, that she had spent those 4 minutes taking candid photographs of Rita through the doorway for the eventual proposal announcement post, a phrase that implied a level of pre-planning I genuinely did not want to think too hard about. Halfway through lunch, in the specific lull that happens right after the second helping of rice, my mother set down her spoon with the gravity of a woman about to deliver a verdict. "So," she said, turning to Rita, 2 years, both graduated, good jobs, I hear. When are you two getting married?" I choked on my rice. Actually choked, the kind that requires someone to pat your back, which Rika did with significantly more enthusiasm than necessary, followed immediately by Mira offering me water with the theatrical concern of someone playing a nurse in a school play. "Mom," "I am asking Rita, not you," my mother said, waving me off without even glancing in my direction. Rita, completely unbothered, took a slow sip of her tea, letting the silence stretch just long enough to be unbearable. "Whenever he works up the nerve to ask. I've been ready for a while now, if I'm honest." The table went dead silent. My sisters' heads whipped toward me in perfect synchronized horror/delight, the exact reaction shot from every drama they'd ever forced me to watch. "You've been ready?" I repeated, my voice climbing an octave I didn't know I had access to. "I said what I said," Rita replied, entirely too pleased with herself, clearly enjoying every second of my slow public unraveling. My mother clapped once, decisively, like a judge delivering a final ruling. "I like her. I have always liked her. Junho, do not mess this up. I raised you better than this. You have a job now. You have savings. What is the holdup?" "Nobody is messing anything up. I just need a minute. This is a lot of pressure for a Sunday." "He's turning red, Uma. Look at him," Rika said, gleefully, already filming on her phone for reasons I chose not to interrogate. "Send that to me," my mother said immediately, for the wedding slideshow. "There is no wedding," I said weakly. "There is going to be a wedding, Opa," said all 3 of my sisters in perfect, terrifying unison, like they'd rehearsed that too, which, given Rika's bathroom disappearance earlier, they possibly had. "Also," Susie added, entirely too casually for someone about to detonate a grenade, "I already picked out my bridesmaid dress. I did it in April. I've had it for months." "There is no wedding, Susie." "There is going to be a wedding, Opa," said Susie, with the patient tone of someone explaining gravity to a toddler. "I'm just efficient." After lunch, while my mother pulled Rita into the kitchen under the pretense of showing her something, which everyone at that table understood to mean interrogation round 2, I found myself cornered on the back porch by all 3 of my sisters at once. "We need to talk," Rika said, arms crossed, every inch the chairwoman she'd once declared herself to be, now with the added authority of someone who had a real salary and therefore, in her mind, real influence. "About what?" The ring, Mira said. We know about the ring, Opa. I stared at them. How? Your sock drawer has a very specific bulge that has not been there for 2 months, Susie said. We are observant. It's actually our best trait. It's actually your worst trait. It's the trait that has caused me the most suffering in my adult life. Irrelevant, Rika said, waving this off. The point is, we've been planning. Planning what? The proposal, Mira said, like this was obvious. You clearly have no idea what you're doing. You've had that ring for 2 months and done nothing with it. 2 months, Opa, and you have a stable job now. There is no excuse. I've been waiting for the right moment. There is no right moment, Susie said, with a flat authority of a soon-to-graduate teenager who apparently had seen every romantic comedy currently in existence at least twice. We already have 3 venue options scouted, Rika said, pulling out her phone and swiping through what appeared to be an alarming number of photographs of rooftops, none of which I had authorized her to visit. This one has string lights. This one has a view of the river. This one is technically trespassing, but the security guard is Mira's co-worker's cousin, so it's basically fine. You scouted proposal locations without telling me. We scouted them for you because you weren't going to do it yourself. This is called intervention, Opa. It's a form of love. It's a form of terrifying. It's same thing in this family, Susie said, shrugging. I looked at my 3 sisters, the same 3 who had once sprinkled salt behind Rita's back, who had formed a literal committee to sabotage what they believed was a fake relationship, who had ambushed our first real date at an amusement park 2 years ago, now standing united in Operation Get Our Brother to Propose, complete with a scouting report, and felt something between exasperation and genuine affection settle in my chest. Fine, I said. Say you let me help. What's the plan? Rika's eyes lit up in a way that made me immediately regret the question. The rooftop, she said. The one from 2 years ago. Full circle. It's basically already written for us. You said that like a movie trailer. I've been practicing, Rika admitted. There's also a backup plan, Mira said, in case you chicken out, which, statistically, given your track record with big decisions, is a real possibility. I do not have a track record. You took 4 years to admit you liked Rita after you'd already been dating her for 4 months, Susie pointed out. There is absolutely a track record. I had no response to this because it was, unfortunately, completely accurate. 2 weeks later, on a night that had absolutely nothing to do with my sisters, according to my sisters, Rita and I found ourselves back at the same rooftop where we'd had our first real conversation 2 years ago. The one where we'd both quietly admitted the acting had stopped a while back. This feels familiar, Rita said, leaning against a railing. The campus lights spread out below us exactly like they had been that first night, even though neither of us technically belonged to that campus anymore. Does it? I said, doing an admittedly terrible job of sounding casual. Junho, your sister texted me directions to this exact spot 40 minutes ago. I know something is happening. Which sister? All 3. In a group chat, titled, and I quote, Operation Finally. There was apparently a vote on the group chat name, I said, resigned. Susie wanted Operation Opa Grow a Spine. Mira vetoed it for being too on the nose. I would have voted for Susie's, Rita said. I closed my eyes briefly, making a mental note to revoke phone privileges from 3 separate people. Of course they did. So, Rita said, turning to face me fully, arms crossed, fighting a smile she was clearly enjoying far too much. Are you going to do the thing, or are we just going to stand here while I pretend I don't know what's in your jacket pocket? You know about the pocket too? Junho, everyone knows about the pocket. Your mother knows about the pocket. I'm fairly certain the entire congregation at your grandmother's church knows about the pocket. Rika showed me a photo of the receipt. She said, and I quote, for documentation purposes. She photographed the receipt? She photographed the receipt, Rita confirmed. I laughed, the real helpless kind, and reached into my jacket and got down on one knee right there on the rooftop where a fake relationship had quietly, stubbornly become the realest thing in my life. I had a whole speech, I said. My sisters wrote 3 different versions and I hated all of them, so I'm doing this myself. Good, Rita said, her voice doing something soft that I'd rarely heard from her. I never liked their drafts anyway. 2 years ago, I asked you to pretend to be my girlfriend because I couldn't handle 3 overprotective sisters on my own. I did not expect any of this. I did not expect you to actually fall for me, and I definitely did not expect to fall for you right back somewhere between a roller coaster and a Ferris wheel ambush. We've graduated, we've got jobs, we've survived my entire family plotting against us and then plotting for us, and I don't want to do any of the next part without you. I opened the box. Rita Coleman, will you marry me? For real this time, no acting required. Rita looked at the ring, then at me, then, I swear, glanced briefly over my shoulder toward the stairwell door, which I would later learn was propped open exactly wide enough for 3 sisters to be recording the entire thing. Yes, she said. Obviously yes. I told your mother I've been ready for a while. Keep up. I stood and kissed her, and somewhere behind us the stairwell door burst open with 3 simultaneous screams of triumph that startled a flock of birds off the roof next door. "We did it!" Rika shouted, still recording, tears already streaming. "I told you 2 months was too long," Mira added, also crying, also filming, apparently having taken personal offense to the delay. "I'm telling Uma right now," Susie announced, already dialing. Somewhere in the chaos, Rika tripped over the small cooler of sparkling cider she had apparently smuggled up the stairwell, along with an honest-to-God banner that read, "Congratulations, Opa," in glitter lettering which unrolled itself across the rooftop with traumatic, unearned flair, one corner catching briefly on the railing before Mira rescued it. "You made a banner?" I said. "We made a banner 3 weeks ago," Mira said. "We've had it ready before you actually did anything. That's how confident we were in this intervention." Rita pulled back from the kiss just enough to look at me, laughing. "Your sisters ambushed on engagement." "Rita," I said, "my sisters ambush everything. This is genuinely the most on-brand thing that has ever happened to us." She laughed again and looked past me at my 3 sisters, sobbing, filming, unrolling a banner, already planning what was undoubtedly going to be an aggressively over-the-top wedding, and shook her head. "I wouldn't have it any other way," she said. "You say that now. Wait until they start planning the bachelorette party." "Oh, they already have a shared document," Rita said. "Rika sent it to me 3 days ago. It's 40 pages. "I have seen the document," Mira called out, unhelpfully from somewhere near the stairwell. "There's a whole section on themed cocktails." "There is a spreadsheet tab for the cocktails," Susie corrected, still on the phone with my mother, who I could hear screaming with joy from the speaker where I was standing. I stared at Rita. "You knew about the proposal and you've been coordinating with my sisters this entire time?" "Juno," Rita said, patting my chest fondly, "my family has been part of this family for 2 years. Did you really think I wasn't going to have my own committee?" Somewhere behind us, my sisters were already toasting with the sparkling cider Susie had apparently smuggled up to the rooftop in advance, because of course Susie had, popping the cork with enough force that it sailed off the edge of the roof entirely, prompting a distant and alarmed shout from someone on the street below that none of us fully investigated. Because nothing about this family had ever once gone according to my plan. And standing there on that rooftop with Rita's hand in mine, a glitter banner slowly sliding off the railing, and 3 of the loudest, most meddlesome sisters in Seoul celebrating behind us with a level of preparation that bordered on unsettling, I found I genuinely wouldn't have wanted it any other way either. If you loved part 3 of Junho and Rita's story, smash that like button and subscribe for more K-Afro Narratives. Let us know in the comments, should we cover the wedding next? And what do you think Rika's 40-page bachelorette document actually contains? See you in the next one.